He poured a milkshake on the wrong man and learned a life lesson he'll never forget. The cold splash hit him before he even saw it coming. Thick, sticky strawberry milkshake ran down his face and soaked into his shirt, dripping onto the floor. The room froze. Every sound inside Frank's Burger Spot in Tempe, Arizona seemed to vanish. The chatter, the sizzling grill, the music humming from the overhead speakers, gone. A few people gasped, a few laughed, and one voice, shaky and trying too hard, broke the silence. "Yo, chill, bro. It's just a joke. It's for TikTok." The guy holding the empty cup was Tyler Henson, 21, college kid, backwards cap, white hoodie, that smirk people wear when they think they're untouchable. His 3 friends around him, 2 filming, 1 giggling, waited for a reaction. They thought they'd just made internet gold. Jamal Reddick didn't move at first. He just stood there, milkshake dripping from his chin, eyes steady on Tyler. He didn't yell. He didn't shove. He didn't even flinch. He slowly grabbed a napkin from the counter, wiped his face, and looked down at his shirt. "Man, that's unfortunate," he said quietly. Something in his voice made one of the bystanders stop recording. It wasn't loud or angry. It was calm, almost too calm. That tone people use when they've seen worse, been through worse, and don't have the energy to perform for fools. Tyler laughed again, trying to keep the show going. "Hey man, relax. You good, bro? You good?" Jamal looked up at him, his gaze firm but controlled. "You poured that on me for a laugh, right?" "Yeah, it's content, man. It's just for the internet." Tyler's voice cracked slightly, realizing his audience wasn't laughing anymore. His friends lowered their phones. Across the room, a middle-aged woman whispered, "That man's not just anyone." The manager peeked from behind the counter, nervous but curious. Jamal folded the napkin, set it aside, and took 1 step forward. Slow, measured, intentional. The kind of movement that makes everyone instinctively move back a little. Tyler's grin faded. "Let me ask you something," Jamal said, his tone still soft. "When you wake up tomorrow and watch that video, what are you gonna see? A man minding his business, or you embarrassing yourself?" Nobody spoke. The fries kept sizzling in the back, the only sound in the room. But before we get too far into that moment, let's rewind. Because this day didn't start at Frank's Burger Spot. It started hours earlier, with Jamal Reddick doing something far simpler and far more important. That morning had started slow. The kind of quiet Sunday where the world felt a little softer. The sun over Tempe wasn't too hot yet, and the streets still held the faint smell of rain from the night before. Jamal Reddick had just left his mother's house on South Mill Avenue, a small single-story home with faded blue paint and a garden she refused to give up on. "Take some of that cornbread with you," she'd said, wrapping it in foil like she always did. He smiled. "Ma, you know I can't eat all that by myself." "You a grown man, you'll manage." She laughed, the same deep laugh that could still make him feel like a kid again. For Jamal, these visits were sacred. After 8 years of active duty, 4 tours, 2 of them overseas, he'd learned that peace wasn't something you found easily. You had to protect it. And his mother's kitchen, with its peeling wallpaper and gospel radio humming low, was his fortress of peace. He sat with her for an hour, talking about everything and nothing. Her church friends, the neighbor's new car, and the tomatoes she'd planted that were finally doing something right. When he left, she hugged him tight, kissed his cheek, and said, "Remember, baby, patience keeps you strong." He didn't know he'd need those words later that day. After leaving her house, Jamal drove toward downtown, windows down, one hand on the steering wheel, the other tapping the rhythm of an old John Coltrane tune playing through his phone. He wasn't a man who sought attention. If anything, he avoided it. He'd seen enough chaos in his life. These days, he worked as a security consultant, quiet job, good pay, kept him grounded. But when his stomach started growling, he decided to stop somewhere for lunch. Nothing fancy, just something quick before heading home. That's how he spotted Frank's Burger Spot, a small, old-school joint that had been around since the 80s. Neon signs still flickering even in daylight. He'd eaten there before. Decent burgers, good fries, no nonsense. He parked, got out, and stretched a little, rolling his shoulders out of habit. Military habits never really leave you. Even after years, you still scan the parking lot without realizing it. Inside, the smell of grilled meat and grease filled the air. Families, students, workers on break. Just regular people sharing a Sunday meal. Jamal found a seat by the window, ordered a double cheeseburger, and pulled out his phone to check messages. Everything was calm, ordinary, predictable. He didn't notice the group of college kids when they came in. Not yet. He didn't notice the camera phones or the laughter at the back booth. All he knew was that his food was taking a bit longer than usual, and that he was starting to think about calling his mom again to tell her the cornbread came out perfect. But fate has a strange way of interrupting quiet moments, and that interruption was already walking through the door, camera in hand, looking for attention. The door swung open with that sharp creak every small-town diner seems to have, followed by a burst of noise, laughter, sneakers squeaking, someone saying, "Yo, this is perfect, bro. This place is like straight out of a movie." Jamal barely looked up from his phone. He'd seen that type before, loud, restless, performing for each other more than for themselves. 4 of them, maybe 21, 22 at most, fresh-faced, fueled by caffeine, and armed with phones that recorded every breath they took. Leading the pack was Tyler Henson, tall, pale, messy blonde hair under a backwards cap, that kind of confidence that only comes when life's been too easy for too long. His friends, Kyle, Ricky, and Brent, followed close behind, one holding a half-finished milkshake, another already filming on his phone. They slid into a booth not far from where Jamal sat. Their voices carried across the room. "Bro, I'm telling you, this one's gonna go viral. Like straight up 1 million views," Tyler said. Kyle smirked. "Depends on how far you take it, man. People only watch if it's wild." Brent chimed in, "You won't do it, though." "You all talk, Ty. That's all it took. A dare, a challenge." Tyler leaned back, scanning the room. His eyes landed on Jamal, calm, focused, alone. A tall, athletic black man, broad shoulders, sitting quietly with his burger untouched. "Yo," Tyler whispered, grinning. "What if I dump this on that dude's head right there? Say something dumb, make it a prank. Instant views." Ricky lowered his phone. "Bro, nah, that guy looks serious." Tyler laughed. "That's the point, man. The more serious they look, the funnier it is when they lose it." People loved that Jamal caught a fragment of their laughter but didn't pay it much mind. He'd been around loud mouths his entire life. Basic training, Navy deployments, security jobs in crowded cities. He'd learned the power of not reacting. He reached for his drink, took a calm sip, and set it down. But something in his periphery caught his eye. A phone lens pointed directly at him. At the counter, the waitress, Janine, noticed too. She frowned and muttered, "Those kids again." "Everything all right?" Jamal asked, his voice steady. Janine sighed. "Yeah, they've been coming here the last few weekends, pulling pranks on folks. Managers about had it." Jamal nodded slowly. "They ever mess with you?" "Not yet," she said, forcing a smile. "But they get close." At that moment, Tyler stood, still holding his milkshake. His friends shifted, phones out, recording. "Yo, check this out," Tyler whispered, grinning at the camera. "Watch this. Dude's about to be famous." He started walking toward Jamal's table, slow at first, pretending to look around like he was waiting for his order, but the smirk on his face gave him away. Janine saw it too, and her eyes widened. "Sir, watch out," she said quickly. Jamal looked up, confused for half a second, just as Tyler lifted the milkshake. A cold, pink blur, a splash, gasps, silence. Everyone froze. Phones still recording. People halfway through bites of burgers, staring. Jamal blinked once, then twice, feeling the sticky shake slide down his face and drip onto his shirt. Tyler laughed nervously. "Yo, chill, bro. It's just a prank." But there was no laughter from the crowd, just eyes, dozens of them, some filled with disbelief, others with quiet anger. Jamal didn't move, not yet. He took a long, steady breath, the kind soldiers take before the storm hits. But no one expected what would happen next, because Jamal wasn't the kind of man who reacted like everyone else. He had a different kind of strength, the kind you can't fake for a camera. The sound of that milkshake hitting the floor seemed to echo. A slow drip followed, marking the silence between one heartbeat and the next. Jamal sat perfectly still, shoulders straight, breathing calm. The shake ran down his cheek, over his jaw, and onto his lap. He grabbed a napkin from the holder, dabbed at his face once, twice, methodical, controlled. "Yo, dude," Tyler said, still half laughing, voice shaky now. "You good?" "It's just a joke, man." Jamal's eyes lifted, calm, focused. The kind of stare that could make a room forget its noise. "You poured that on me for a laugh, right?" he asked quietly. The entire diner went still again. Tyler shifted, trying to keep his confidence alive. "Yeah, it's just for TikTok, bro, you know, for fun. We're just playing around." Jamal leaned back in his seat slightly. "Fun," he repeated. The word hung in the air, flat and heavy. His voice wasn't angry, it was low, steady. The kind of voice that didn't need to rise to be heard. He took another napkin, cleaned the table, and placed it neatly beside his plate. His movements were precise, almost too calm for what just happened. The waitress, Janine, stepped closer. "Sir, do you want me to call someone?" Jamal shook his head once. "Not yet." Tyler's friends were frozen, their phones still up but shaking now. Ricky lowered his. Brent swallowed hard. Jamal stood. He wasn't enormous, but he carried himself like a man who knew exactly what he was capable of. When he rose to his full height, even the people sitting near the window straightened up. He took one slow step toward Tyler, then another. Tyler tried to smile again. "Hey man, come on. Don't take it personal. It's just content." Jamal's gaze didn't waver. "So that's what people are now? Content?" Tyler blinked. "What? You walk into a place full of people and you think embarrassing someone makes you funny?" His tone was measured, not harsh, not loud. "You think this makes you a man?" The room was silent except for the faint hiss of the grill. Jamal's eyes drifted to the phone in Kyle's hand. "You filming this too?" Kyle lowered it immediately. "Nah, man, we're done." "Good," Jamal said, voice even lower now. "Because the next thing I say isn't for your followers. It's for him." He nodded at Tyler. Tyler swallowed, trying to step back, but Jamal didn't close the distance. He stopped just short, close enough for his voice to drop softer, personal. "I spent 8 years in the Navy," he said. 5 of those years as a SEAL. You know what that means?" Tyler's eyes widened slightly. You're lying." Jamal smiled faintly. "You want to find out?" A couple of people gasped quietly. Tyler shook his head quickly. "Nah, man, it's all good." "My bad." "You're bad," Jamal repeated. "That's all you've got to say for yourself?" He looked around the room, meeting eyes that quickly dropped away. The whole diner was holding its breath. Then Jamal exhaled slowly, shoulders relaxing. He grabbed a few napkins from the counter, wiped the milkshake from his arms, and tossed them in the trash. "Sit down," he said to Tyler, calm but firm. "What?" "I said sit down." Tyler hesitated, then pulled out a chair. The prank was over. The camera was off. Now it was just a man facing the consequences of his own arrogance. But Jamal wasn't finished. Not yet. Because he knew that if he walked away now, this kid would just find another target tomorrow. And some lessons have to be taught face to face. Tyler sat down slowly, his hands gripping the edge of the table. The milkshake cup lay on its side near his shoes, a small puddle of pink spreading under his sneaker. His friends didn't say a word. They stood a few feet away, phones down, faces pale. Jamal stayed standing, not towering, not threatening, just still. That kind of stillness that carries power all by itself. "You said it's just a joke," Jamal began. "You do this kind of thing often?" Tyler shrugged, eyes darting between Jamal and the floor. It's for content, man. It's what people do. Nobody takes it that serious." "People," Jamal said slowly, "or you." Tyler's mouth opened, but no words came out. Jamal leaned slightly forward, resting one hand on the table. "You ever stop to think about what happens after the video ends? After the comments, the likes, the views fade out? You ever think about what kind of man you're becoming?" A few people around them nodded quietly. The woman from the window whispered, "That boy needs to listen." Tyler glanced toward his friends for help, but none came. Kyle muttered, "Let's just go, man." But Jamal shook his head once. "No, he's staying. Because this right here, this is the part that doesn't make the video. This is what you cut out when you upload it." Tyler swallowed hard. "Look, I said I'm sorry, all right? I didn't mean..." "You meant it," Jamal interrupted gently. You wanted people to laugh. You wanted attention. You just didn't think about the cost. Tyler's shoulders slumped. Jamal's tone softened slightly. When I was your age, I saw things that changed me. I learned fast that the loudest man in the room isn't always the strongest. Sometimes, the one who says nothing, that's the one who's seen real things, done real things. The silence was heavy, but not angry. It was the kind that made people think. Janine stepped forward quietly, wiping a nearby table just to be close enough to hear. Jamal continued, "What if I wasn't who I am? What if I didn't know how to control myself? You ever think about that? You don't know what people carry. You pour something on the wrong person one day, and that prank might end a lot worse than this." Tyler's breathing grew shallow. His smirk was gone completely now, replaced by embarrassment and something else, realization. "I didn't think," he murmured. Jamal straightened. "No, you didn't. But that's what separates a man from a boy. Thinking before acting." The whole diner was watching, but Jamal wasn't putting on a show. He wasn't trying to shame Tyler. He was trying to reach him. For a few long seconds, no one spoke. Even the cook peeked from the kitchen, motionless. Then, slowly, Jamal reached into his pocket, pulled out a 20, and placed it on the table. "That should cover the mess. You make sure you tip the waitress on your way out." Tyler looked up, confused. "Why would you pay for that?" "Because somebody's got to show you what accountability looks like," Jamal said. "And today, I guess that's me." He turned toward the door, leaving behind the sticky napkins, the silence, and a kid who suddenly looked a lot younger than he did 10 minutes ago. But as Jamal reached the parking lot, the story didn't end there. Because what happened next would turn this quiet lesson into something the whole country would be talking about. By the time Jamal stepped outside, the Arizona sun had turned the sidewalk into a shimmer. He wiped his hands with a napkin, tossed it into the bin, and started toward his car. He didn't expect anyone to follow him, but he heard hurried footsteps behind him anyway. "Hey, wait!" It was Tyler. The kid jogged up, still pale, still shaking a little. His friends stayed behind inside, pretending to clean up the mess. Jamal didn't turn right away. He just stood by the driver's side of his car, keys in hand. "You need something?" Tyler hesitated. I wanted to say I'm sorry. Like, really sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything, but..." Jamal looked over his shoulder. "Why'd you do it?" Tyler rubbed the back of his neck. "I don't know, man. It's just... we've been making prank videos for months. People like it. It's easy views. I thought..." "You thought wrong," Jamal cut in. His voice was calm, but it carried weight. "You thought hurting someone made you interesting. That's not humor. That's insecurity." Tyler looked down at the pavement. "I didn't mean to disrespect you," he said softly. "You didn't just disrespect me," Jamal replied. "You disrespected yourself. Every time you act like that, you make it harder for people to take you seriously when it actually matters." The words hit deeper than Tyler expected. For once, no camera was watching, no friends cheering, just truth. Jamal sighed, leaning against his car. "Let me tell you something I learned the hard way. When you're out there in the field, when bullets are flying and chaos hits, nobody cares about who's the loudest. They care about who stays calm, who thinks clearly, who knows how to act when everything's on the line." Tyler looked up slowly. "You were really in the Navy?" "SEAL Team 3, Jamal said. 8 years. Tyler's jaw tightened. "So, you've seen some bad stuff, huh?" Jamal nodded. "Enough to know that if you can't control yourself over a laugh, you won't control yourself when life gets serious." Tyler swallowed hard, trying to hold Jamal's gaze. "I don't know why I did it, man. I didn't think." "That's the problem," Jamal said quietly. "Too many people act first and think later. The internet's got folks believing life's just a highlight reel. But real life? It's the quiet moments that show who you are." A few seconds passed. Tyler's eyes glistened a little, but he blinked it away. "I don't want to be that guy anymore," he said. "I'm tired of trying to make people laugh at the wrong things." Jamal looked at him for a moment, studying his face. There was something genuine there now. Regret, not fear. "Then don't be," Jamal said. "Change starts the minute you decide to act different. You mess up, you own it, you learn, you move forward. That's what being a man means. Tyler nodded slowly. You think people can really change? Only if they stop pretending and start listening, Jamal said. A quiet moment hung between them. Two men from completely different worlds, standing in the same truth. Tyler extended his hand. I'm sorry, sir. Jamal looked at it, then shook it firmly. Apology accepted. Just make it mean something. Tyler nodded again, stepping back. As Jamal got into his car, he started the engine and gave one last look toward the diner. The glass door reflected Tyler, still standing there, watching him leave. But by the time Jamal pulled out of the parking lot, the world was already watching. Because someone inside had uploaded the entire thing online, and it was spreading faster than either of them could imagine. By sunset, the video had already hit 500,000 views. The clip started with the milkshake splash, shock, gasps, laughter, then cut to the moment Tyler sat down, face pale, while Jamal spoke to him in that calm, unshakable tone. Someone had captioned it, "He messed with the wrong guy." But it wasn't just another viral prank gone wrong. It felt different. Within hours, the internet had turned into a firestorm. Comments flooded every platform. Man handled that better than I ever could. That's a SEAL? Respect. More people need to see this. Real strength right there. Even national pages picked it up. The story trended on Twitter, #TheWrongOne. Meanwhile, Jamal didn't even know. He'd spent the rest of the afternoon washing his shirt, cutting the grass, and calling his mother. You sound tired, she said. Long day, he replied with a small laugh. But I learned something, Ma. People don't always need shouting to hear you. Sometimes silence hits harder. She smiled through the phone. That's my boy. But the world outside his calm little house was buzzing with his name. By Monday morning, news vans parked near Frank's burger spot. Reporters wanted interviews. Podcasts wanted statements. Strangers sent messages calling him a hero. Jamal wasn't interested in fame. He hadn't done anything special in his mind. He'd just done what his mother taught him, to stay composed when others lose control. Tyler, on the other hand, couldn't hide from it. Every classmate, every teacher, every family member had seen the video. His social media accounts overflowed with comments, some cruel, some supportive, most saying he'd learned a lesson the hard way. He took the video down, but it was too late. It was everywhere. The next day, he showed up at Frank's, shoulders low, no phone in sight. Janine spotted him first. You here to make more content? She asked, arms crossed. No, ma'am, he said quietly. I came to apologize. She studied him for a moment, then nodded toward the back. He might stop by later. You can tell him yourself. And Jamal did stop by. Same booth, same seat, same calm look. Tyler approached slowly. Sir, he began, voice shaking. I wanted to say I'm sorry again. I shouldn't have done what I did. I embarrassed you, and I embarrassed myself. Jamal looked at him, then nodded toward the seat across from him. Sit. Tyler did. You still making videos? Jamal asked. No, Tyler said quickly. Not like that. I deleted everything. I've been thinking about what you said, about how the internet makes you forget there's a real person on the other side of the screen. Jamal gave a small nod. Good. Keep that in mind. Respect lasts longer than views. Tyler nodded, his eyes steady this time. I won't forget that. They sat in silence for a moment, two men connected by one stupid mistake that turned into something bigger than either of them expected. A few customers nearby recognized Jamal, whispering, That's him. That's the SEAL. But Jamal just smiled, waved it off, and went back to eating his burger. But what people didn't see on camera was what came after. The quiet change that happens when a lesson sticks, and a man chooses to do better instead of just saying it. A week later, life had settled back down, at least for Jamal. The noise online had started to fade, but the story still lived in people's conversations. It became one of those, did you see that video? Moments that people brought up at barbershops, classrooms, and dinner tables. For Jamal, though, it wasn't about the attention. He never wanted to be some internet hero. He just wanted peace. That Saturday morning, he found himself back at his mother's house. Same spot on the porch, same cup of coffee, same warm air rising off the desert ground. She was trimming her rose bushes, humming softly under her breath. "You've been on that news thing all week," she said, glancing over her shoulder. He chuckled. "So they tell me. You gonna do an interview or something?" "Nah, I already said what needed to be said." She smiled faintly. "That's what I thought." He looked out across the street, watching a group of kids ride their bikes. "Ma, you ever think about how fast people judge each other now? Feels like everyone's waiting for someone to mess up, just so they can watch That's the World We Live In," she said. "But it don't have to be the world you feed." Jamal nodded slowly. "I guess that's why I didn't react in there. I knew if I did, it'd just be another story. Another reason for people to talk about anger instead of discipline." She wiped her hands on her apron and sat beside him. "You did right, baby. You showed them strength without having to lift a hand. That's rare these days." He smiled. "Maybe. But I hope that kid really learned something. Not just him. The people watching, too." Later that day, Jamal scrolled through his messages for the first time since the video went viral. Dozens of strangers had written to thank him, veterans, parents, even teenagers. One message stood out. "My son saw your video. He said he wants to be calm like you instead of angry like his friends. I just wanted to say thank you." Jamal read it twice, then set his phone down. That, he thought, was worth more than any headline. He took a slow breath and leaned back in his chair, eyes half closed. The world outside his small circle would keep spinning, chasing trends, looking for moments. But maybe, just maybe, a few people out there had seen that video and realized that strength isn't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can hold your peace. Because real power isn't loud, it's steady, it's quiet. It's the kind that doesn't need to prove itself to anyone. Jamal stood, kissed his mother's forehead, and headed down the porch steps. The sun hit his shoulders as he walked toward his car, the same one from that day. Before he got in, he looked back once, not for attention, not for validation, but with gratitude. And if there's one thing this story should remind us all, it's this. Respect people, even when they don't respect you. Because your reaction says more about you than their insult ever could. If you took something from this story, share it. Let someone else hear it. Because sometimes the calmest voice in the room is the one that changes everything.